The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. Brady's won his 7th Super Bowl championship in 10 tries. All seems right with the world. Except in my world, okay? Last podcast was the worst podcast. I shot like 6 for 29 from the field. And what do they always say? Shooters keep shooting. Never met a shot they didn't like. All of those adages apply to me. On the court, I was a shooter. Off the court, I'm a shooter. Can't make a shot you never take, or you miss 100% of the shots you never take. All of that good stuff. So I shoot my shots. But generally, I don't miss like I did last podcast. It was terrible. And when I played that poorly, you know there's a hell of a bounce back game coming. And that's what this podcast is going to be. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 138th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Super Bowl 55 was a dud. Wow, 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 wow. Unless you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, of course. But for us fans that had nothing to do with it, it was not what we expected. Did not live up to the hype of Brady versus Mahomes, you know, two of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in a Super Bowl or any of that stuff. This was a one-sided ass thrashing that really was non-competitive for much of the fourth quarter. Didn't expect it. We'll talk more about it a little bit later on in the show. But before we get to any of that, I got some double O's to offer up. And you know I hate doing this. I'm a prideful guy, you know? And the reason I came up with the concept of double O's is because I'm not wrong very often. Or at least I'd like to think I'm not. I'm pretty sure you guys are like, Louie, your ass is wrong all the goddamn time. You're probably right. But I refuse to acknowledge that. Okay? In my world, not wrong very often. And so when I am wrong, when I am blatantly and overtly wrong, I'm going to own up to it. That's what men do. It's what a real man does. When you do something wrong, you own up to it. So that's why I came up with the concept of double O. However, I never envisioned myself having to offer up multiple double O's on one show, let alone like 5 or 6. But when you have such a bad show like I did last show, you got to bounce back. And this is going to be a hell of a podcast. I mean, this is going to be one hell of a show. Because it's the only one this week. Not going to be back on Wednesday or Friday. So this is the lone podcast that you're going to get from me this week. Got a lot of things going on, including I'm going out of town. I told you guys this last week, or I hinted at it at least, that I was going to be gone. And, you know, this pandemic has kicked ass, man. And I thought when the vaccines came, shit would change. It doesn't seem like it's happening fast enough, at least not for me. And I don't really know how these vaccines are going to go. We all know about that second strand that's around. It's already hit the U.S. I don't even know if the vaccine is going to be able to calm that down. I don't know how any of this is going to go. But I know one thing. I need to get the hell out of the goddamn house. Okay? I can't take this shit anymore. So we're going to do some secluded shit. Don't worry. I'm not going out and partying with the masses. I'm keeping it nice and tight, inner circle, you know, out in a remote location, not around anybody. So it's almost like doing the same shit at home, but except you're not at home, which is good. I just need to get out. I need to change the scenery. Need to be able to enjoy the company of those I really care about and have some fun while doing it. Haven't done that in over a year and a half, it seems like. So Gonna get out of the house, have a little bit of fun, do some things, kind of, now that the season is over, kind of release a bit, as I usually do, but I'm not going to take as long as I normally do. Normally it's like a 2-week hiatus after the season's over to collect my thoughts, exhale, and then get back at it. I'm coming right back as soon as I am done with this trip. And it's not going to be a week-long, sabbatical. It's literally a few days. And I generally don't put out that much content on the weekends anyway. So anyway, long story short, going to be gone. And so this is the lone podcast you're going to get of the week. So this is going to be a pretty long one today. That said, let's start knocking down these double O's one at a time because, again, I don't want to do this, but it has to be done. I talked about a lot of things last podcast. It was so bad that I didn't want to go back and look at the last podcast. I didn't want to listen to it. It was terrible. And so let's start with one thing that I said last week. And I said a lot of things on the last podcast that were wrong. So bear with me. Might take a little while. Bucs uniforms during the postseason. I said last podcast, they've worn the white uniforms the entire time. And they're going to stick with it because they've been winning with them. And they wore them in the wild card game versus Washington and on the road at New Orleans and at Green Bay. And now they're going to wear them at home. They normally wear their solid color unis at the crib. Normally they wear the red tops and the pewter bottoms when they're at the crib. Well, Washington wore their white on whites in wild card weekend. So that forced Tampa to have to wear their red tops and pewter bottoms. So they didn't wear their white tops, pewter bottoms in wild card weekend. They haven't worn them the entire postseason. Okay. I was wrong. Didn't do my homework on that one. Didn't think about that one clearly before I said it. How about another erroneous Buccaneers Chiefs fact that I threw out there, that factoid that I didn't bother to look up. I thought I heard somebody say it. Anytime I do this shit, I get in trouble. You would have thought I would have learned my lesson by now. I think I've done that like 2 or 3 times on this podcast. Run with some shit I hear somewhere randomly. Don't actually fact check it, which normally I'm a stickler for that. Because I tell you, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man, Louie T. And you guys took that to heart, and that's why I love you, because you listen. Because I didn't even adhere to my own shit. Did I tell you? I heard it somewhere randomly, and I just spit out, hey, first time in NFL history, 2 Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks, 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have done battle with each other. I said, and remember I said I couldn't believe it. I said, we've had 54 of these. We will have our 55th on Sunday. And never has there been 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks going head to head before. That's hard to believe, but I still said it anyway. And then after the show, my man Derek B went down the list and he kept finding another matchup featuring 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks and 2 MVPs. And he found another one, and then he found another one, and then he found another one. I'm like, well, shit. I was wrong, wasn't I? It was Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady. It was Eli Manning versus Tom Brady the second time. He went back in the archives and grabbed one. It was a Raiders game. I think it was Joe Theismann and Kenny Stabler or something. I don't remember what. He went back, though, a ways. There were plenty of them, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. I was wrong. Wrong as hell. As wrong gets. That's what happens when you don't do your work, though. And you guys didn't believe what I said, and you shouldn't. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man, Louie T. And you guys challenged me on that. He was like, hey, Louie T, you wrong as shit. I was. Okay. I was wrong. How about the prediction for the Bucs game? Bucs and Chiefs. Hell, how about the Bucs in general? I was so wrong about them all season long. God damn. But this one in particular, I was adamant. There was no way they were going to beat the Chiefs unless, and I did throw this caveat out there, unless they get pressure on Mahomes. And what did they do? They got pressure on Mahomes like nobody's business. However, that's still not an excuse. I was wrong. Okay. I was wrong about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020. Flat out wrong. From the beginning of the season, before it even started, to the very end. I didn't think they were going to go to New Orleans and win. I didn't think they were going to go to Green Bay and win. And I didn't think they were going to go home against Kansas City and win. And they did. In convincing fashion. Okay. I was wrong. God damn it, this is getting old quick. All right. What did I tell you about Carson Wentz? Said he wasn't going to get traded. Said the Eagles did everything this offseason to make sure that Carson Wentz was comfortable, that they could resurrect his career, that they had invested so much in Wentz that they weren't going to trade him now after hiring Nick Sirianni and going out and hiring Steichen from the Chargers to resurrect this Carson Wentz quarterback corpse from the dead. And I said it multiple times, but I was so adamant last week. So adamant. Then over the weekend, I got the same tweet from Adam Schefter that I got just a week ago. That you got, the same tweet a week ago that says, hey, Carson Wentz trade imminent. Don't know when, but it's happening sometime this week. They said it to us last week with Matthew Stafford. Happened on Sunday. Or Saturday night, actually. So it's coming this week. Don't ask me. I don't know when. I don't know where and to who. And how and what's going to be the compensation. But I told you it wasn't happening. Well, another one wrong for the good guy. Even my voice is like, how many times you going to apologize, man? We don't do this shit. Voice is crackling on your ass. I know. I'm almost done. Voice. Okay. I was wrong about Carson Wentz getting traded. His ass is getting dealt. For what now is the real question. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. And I got one more final double O to drag up because if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And I like to get out in front of my misses. I like to go and rebound like Russell Westbrook. I like to go rebound my own miss and put it back. I don't need you rebounding my shit. Couple of years back in the draft, and look, I don't have to do this because nobody's right about it. Even the people that get paid professionally to do this shit isn't right 35% of the time. Anyway, if I'm right, I make sure you guys know it because I say it 10 million times. So when I'm wrong, I'm going to make sure you guys know it as well. I've told you that already about me. There was this discussion 3 drafts ago about Devin White and Devin Bush, the 2 Devins. There were only 2 good linebackers in that entire draft class. And they both were going to go in the top 15 of the draft. And you had a decision to make. Which one piqued your interest the most? They were both going to go. But if you needed an inside linebacker, you had to pick one. Which one was it going to be? And I was adamant. It's not Devin White. It's Devin Bush is the one you want. And I said, and look, this is not an indictment on Devin Bush. He's not trash. Okay? Much like Devin White a couple of years back, he got injured. He's going to have to come back. I want to see what he does off this injury. However, I don't care if he comes back and he's the second coming of Ryan Shazier inside. I don't care if he looks like Devin White, smells like Devin White, and even plays like Devin White. He's not better than Devin White. I was wrong about which Devin was the better Devin. I'm convinced now more than ever Devin White is the best of the Devins. Okay. I was wrong. Devin White has won this fight in the second round by way of knockout. This one is over. I was wrong. Devin White is by far the superior Devin. I'm done with the double O's for today. There'll be many more of these to come in the future because, as I've mentioned already, I'm wrong all the damn time. But you will never get them in a 6-pack or 5-pack or however many. I lost count. How many you just got just now? Got too much pride for that shit. But the pot was so bad last episode. So many mistakes. I shot 6 for 29 from the field. I had to come back and correct that. Got it right or wrong. That said, let's get to the shits today, man. I'm ready for it. You ready? As my son would say, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. Get you thinking a little bit. This Gem Droppin Session is going to act as an in case you missed it. Because there are a lot of things that we need to discuss. A lot of things that happened over the weekend that may have went under the radar. So I'm going to make sure that you don't miss any of them. In case you missed it, Bucs won the Super Bowl last night. We'll talk more about the Bucs and the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. I'll have my leftovers from the game a little bit later on in the show. But I do want to mention this right now. I talked last night about the Bucs and how if they're able to considerably maximize what they have and hold on to a few of the very important free agents, what's going to stop them from getting back here again? I didn't quite realize just how many of these guys they had. You know, I was only thinking about the obvious ones. You know, Chris Godwin and Shaq Barrett, you know, are, in particular, were the two that really came to mind, and Lavonte David. Those were the three specifically that front of my mind. We all know Shaq Barrett's on a franchise tag, so we know he's going to be a free agent. I've been talking about Chris Godwin all season long because we need a wide receiver number 2. He's one of the best in the league as a Robin. We need a Robin in Washington. So knew he was a free agent. And obviously, Lavonte David, another position that we could use help at as a linebacker. Although, don't really know how old Lavonte is. Feels like Lavante's getting up there in age, though. Boy, he looked good last night, though. Let's look him up real quick. Feel like Lavante's got to be pushing 30, man. 28, 29. Maybe he's going to be 30 by the time next year rolls around. Let's just find out for shits and giggles. Feels like he's a lifetimer in Tampa, though. Feels like he's a guy. He's 31 years old. I know I wasn't tripping. Lavante's been in Tampa forever. Like, if anybody deserved that chip, it was Lavonte David, okay? Or as a wise woman once told me, forever. So, I don't know if he's going to get big bucks. And I don't even think he wants to leave Tampa Bay, to be honest. They should figure something out. But I said all of that to say this. They've got quite a few notable free agents that they want back. And I know they want to be back, but money talks and everything else walks. Now, there are a couple of guys on this list that I think might actually take less to come back and be a part of this thing. Just a 1-year deal, maybe. You know, we'll see. But Chris Godwin is a guy that I've heard rumors that they want to find a way to agree to a long-term deal on, and I see them getting that done. I don't see them allowing Chris Godwin to walk. Lavonte David is interesting because he's already been paid in Tampa Bay once. Are they going to pay him again? He's still playing at a really high level. If they don't pay him, somebody else will. Even at 31 years old, somebody else will pay him. That's an interesting one. Shaq Barrett, he's gone. They're not going to be able to afford him, and he won a Super Bowl already with Denver. So it's not like he was chasing after a ring and he's like, oh my God, I want to be a part of something special. He's like, no, I really want to get paid. He didn't get paid in Denver. He didn't get paid here in Tampa. He wants to get broken off, and he's going to get broken off. And if Tampa can't do it, he should be interested in this is his last big contract. It's his first, and it'll be his last. He's got to maximize it. He can't waste time trying to stay in Tampa to chase another ring when he's already got two now. One in Denver and now one in Tampa. He's going to chase the big payday, and he should. He won't be back in Tampa. I don't think there's any way that he'll be back. Rob Gronkowski is interesting because he talked about being a free agent for the first time in his career. Yeah, air quotes. He's not a free agent. He's not leaving Tom Brady. The man retired because he felt like he couldn't play with Tom Brady. He said, if I can't play with Brady, I'm not playing with anybody else. He's not going anywhere. He only came back because of Tom Brady. You think he's going to leave him? He just won a Super Bowl with him? That's his guy? He's not going anywhere. He'll sign a one-year deal to come back to Tampa. Same with Antonio Brown, I feel like. Everybody else in the league quit on him, gave up on him. Arians and Brady gave him a chance. I don't see him going anywhere else. I don't see anybody else taking a risk on this guy either. This seems like home for him until it's no longer home, or at least until Brady's gone. Maybe once Brady's gone, he's gone. But a one-year deal for Antonio Brown to come back makes a ton of sense for me. It feels like the last dance, maybe. You know, we'll see, but I don't see Antonio Brown going anywhere either. Leonard Fournette is interesting. He wants to be back in Tampa. I know they would probably love to have him back, especially playoff Leonard. You know, I don't know if they'll get to some kind of agreement. He's still a young guy. But we'll find out what's more important than Leonard here with this free agency period. Is he more concerned with trying to maximize his value? Because he doesn't have many years left, you know. Regular season Leonard looked really ordinary, like extra ordinary. But playoff Leonard, or as a wise man used to say, old playoff Leonard, looked a lot different. Old playoff Leonard is a beast. If I'm Leonard Fournette, got my Super Bowl, he claimed he's never played with a real quarterback before, so playing with Brady was like football heaven for him. Football nirvana. Does he want to leave that? Maybe he doesn't. Whatever the case may be, he's got a decision to make. Bucs aren't going to look to pay him a ton of money, I can assure him that. If he's willing to take less to stay in Tampa, knock your socks out. And Ndamukong Suh has always been a hired gun, especially late in his career. He goes wherever the money is. He just won a Super Bowl ring. He's feeling good, but he also stayed in Tampa, not because of the Super Bowl ring. He stayed in Tampa because they were willing to pay him what he was looking to get. If somebody else, because it seems like Suh's been on a constant diet of one-year deals the last 4 or 5 years, and he's been jumping from squad to squad. It seemed like at the end of that Miami contract, he was just like, yo, I'm a hired gun, man. You think you can win a Super Bowl? Come and get me. I'm still playing at a high level. I'm low maintenance. I don't say anything off the field. I don't do anything crazy. I'm here if you need me. It's going to cost you around $10, $11 million, but I'm here. Holla at your boy. I don't know if he's coming back to Tampa or not. They got enough stuff inside that they could allow him to walk. But he's been impactful for them. But again, if somebody else comes calling and says, hey, Suh, we got a 1-year, $12 million deal, he's gone. There's nothing else to talk about. He'll sign that and he'll move on. So we'll see what happens with Ndamukong Suh. But, I mean, that's a lot of guys for a Super Bowl team. And we see this every time a Super Bowl is won. And that's why I was so interested last year when the Chiefs won. Nobody really plucked anything of note off of their team. Like, all their stuff came back, essentially. Usually when a team wins the Super Bowl, it's feast or famine, man. They see your roster and it looks like food, and people start reaching and grabbing off parts and taking a big bite out of it. I could see the Bucs losing 2 or 3 of these dudes, and they're impactful in their own right. But I could also see Gronk and Brown and the Devontae David all coming back and maybe taking a little bit less to come back. And then I can see Chris Godwin getting extended out to a long-term deal. So we'll see what happens with that situation. In case you missed it, Lions asked for Aaron Donald. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names in the Stafford deal. And the Los Angeles Rams politely told him to beat it. You want me to hang up this phone, or are you being serious right now? Like, are we really trying to talk about executing a trade here, or do I just need to hang up? Are you wasting my time? And their GM was like, come on, man, we go way back. You know I wouldn't waste your time. I had to ask. A wise man once told me, the worst it can say is no. Sounds like good logic to me. Why not ask? The worst it can say is no. Now, there are different variations of the word no. They could tell you, go F yourself. Get the F out of my face. But then there's some lighter variations. Go kick rocks. Hell no. Are you effing kidding me? All of these things apply. It's still the word no, just dressed up in something different. And that's all they can say. So I don't blame the Lions for asking for Aaron Donald, but they already knew the answer. But I love it nonetheless. It's ballsy. Anyway, I just thought it was noteworthy. Nothing more there to discuss. They got 2 first rounders for Stafford. There's nothing else to talk about. Anyhow, I digress. In case you missed it, Panthers, sticking with the Matthew Stafford deal theme in the Lions. The Lions were offered by the Carolina Panthers. Remember, I told you the Panthers are scary because they're desperate. Their coach, Matt Rule, wants to win. Their owner, David Tepper, wants to win. I think they will go to great lengths to accomplish this. They offered up to Detroit for Matthew Stafford, 8th overall pick, Teddy Bridgewater, and a 5th rounder. If I'm the Lions, which deal sounds better? 2 1s and Jared Goff's contract and a 3rd rounder, or 1 first round pick, 8 overall, which it is, Teddy Bridgewater on a very affordable contract that by the time you're ready to start winning, you can get out of, and 5th round pick. I don't know, guys. I get it. 2 first rounders and a 3rd. Really juicy shit, man. I get it. But it's hard for me to turn down the 8th pick, meaning I would have had back-to-back selections, 7 and 8 in the top 10. Who does that? Who has back-to-back selections in the top 10? At that point, you could move just about wherever you like. You could go wherever you like. Yeah, you could go wherever you want in the top 10 with that. Except number 1. You weren't getting Trevor Lawrence off the Jags. But if you said to, say, Miami at 3, hey, I got some shit for you, man. How about you let me move up to 3 and get this quarterback that I want? And you could replace Matthew Stafford and you can have Teddy Bridgewater be your bridge. What better quarterback to be your bridge than Bridgewater? And they'll throw in a complimentary 5th rounder for your troubles. And you don't have to take on this nasty Jared Goff contract. But maybe they knew what they were doing. Maybe they can get out after 2 years. Maybe that Jared Goff contract isn't going to hurt as bad. Maybe it'll just simply be, hey, we're going to pull the Band-Aid off on 3. 1, 2, yank, and it's over. Maybe. You're not even getting a first rounder this year. That's not coming until the 2022 draft. And you don't know where it's going to be. It's probably going to be back into the first round. If Stafford is what we have known him to be his entire career, and the Rams defense continues to play at a high level, which we don't doubt, they'll be a playoff team, and they'll probably win a playoff game or 2 or 3. You don't know what that first round pick is going to be. We know what the Panthers' first round pick is. It's 8. How can you turn that down? You want to fast track this thing? If I'm the Lions GM, Brad Holmes, it sounds good when management comes to you, when ownership comes to you and says, hey, we know this is a rebuild. we know that it's going to take some time. That shit sounds fine and dandy now. Start losing some games, though. And do it in multiple years, in successive years. And they start to think, hey, this rebuild that we talked about is taking a pretty goddamn long time. When are you going to start winning some games? Then all of a sudden, you get this thing to where you think, I got it. And then you get fired and the next man reaps the benefits of what you did. It's just like being president in the United States. You get 8 years to fix the shit that the last president effed up. And by the time you get it right to where everything's about to look on the up and up, the next guy reaps the benefits and everybody's giving the next guy credit for the shit you did. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you had a chance to win a lot faster and a lot sooner than anybody could imagine, and you kind of passed on that. Now, maybe the Rams turn out to be a dud. Stafford doesn't turn out to get it done. The defense regresses. Sean McVay loses his damn mind, and all of a sudden, the Rams aren't as good as we thought, and you end up with the 11th pick in the draft. Okay, 11, 8, not that far away. You did good. You got 2 of them now. I'm just saying, I would have taken that deal. Less money guaranteed to Bridgewater, gives you some more opportunity to build this roster through free agency and the draft. Whatever the case may be, you took the Rams deal. Okay. It kind of furthers home my point, though, that the Panthers, this isn't like over the top, this deal here. But they were willing to part ways with 8. I think they'd be willing to give it all up. The farm, the 5 acres along with that farm, and anything else that is, any animals that's on the farm to get Deshaun Watson if he were to become available. I think they'd be willing to do it. Look out for the Panthers. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. In case you missed it, team believes Raiders are open to deal one of their quarterbacks. So NFL teams around the league seem to be convinced that the Raiders are open to dealing one of their quarterbacks. Now, which one? Don't know. I said this yesterday. I did a Washington video that I uploaded this morning. And I said, I saw that Nathan Peterman on Friday after my show was done signed a 1-year deal to come back to Vegas. There's something about old Nathan Peterman that John Gruden seems to like. I don't know what it is. Don't ask me. I don't know. Stop asking. I just know that he's got some kind of infatuation with Nathan Peterman, which led him to ink him to another 1-year deal, which means that maybe one of these guys, and I think I know which one it is. Everyone wants to kick Derek Carr. Derek Carr was phenomenal last season. Phenomenal. His best year of his career. It was on par with 2016 was Derek Carr's best season of his career. Let's look it up. I think 2020 might have been better than 2016 for Derek Carr, the year he injured himself and they had to roll with old Michigan State guy, Connor Cook in the playoffs. Boy, was that a disaster. That was a very winnable game, too, against the Texans, who were just as funky that year. Anyhow, Derek Carr in 2016, 3,937 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And they won the division, or they didn't win the division. They had to go on the road to Houston, but they probably would have won the division had he stayed healthy. Maybe they wouldn't have. The Chiefs were pretty damn good that year, as they always are, it seems like. Anyway, in 2020, 4,103 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 INTs. Quarterback rating was his highest of his career, so you could argue. I thought he was his best this year than ever before. So I don't see John Gruden wanting to get rid of Derek Carr. He wasn't the reason that they didn't make the postseason. I don't understand why there's this vitriol for Derek Carr, why everybody wants to chase him out of Vegas every single year. The Raiders are going to do this at quarterback. They're going to do that at quarterback. Leave Derek Carr alone. I think Marcus Mariota is the guy that's available. I'm intrigued. You know I'm intrigued. And I think the signing of Nathan Peterman says that we're not trying to replace our starter. We're trying to replace our backup. And that guy is Marcus Mariota. Peterman comes in and he goes into the Marcus Mariota role of hopefully you never have to see the field, but if you do, we're fine with that. They're not trying to trade Derek Carr and then saying, okay, because first of all, John Gruden has never been a fan of young quarterbacks. Never. This goes back to his time in Tampa. He's not a huge fan of young QBs. He'd much rather go to war with a veteran. I don't see him trading Derek Carr, but I think Marcus Mariota, after that one game, upped his value significantly, and it just so happened to be on primetime television, so everybody got to watch. And it doesn't hurt that seeing Act 2 of Ryan Tannehill has sparked interest in a guy like Marcus Mariota, who is very similar in a skill set to Ryan Tannehill and what he's been able to do in his second act. I think a lot of people see a lot of the same redeeming qualities in Mariota that they see in Tannehill, and Tannehill is good enough to win a Super Bowl with. I think the intrigue here is Mariota, and I would not be shocked if someone gave up a mid to late round draft pick to secure him from Vegas this year. We'll see what happens. In case you missed it, Texans remain firm on not trading Deshaun Watson. Look, we're at a stalemate now. And what did I tell you guys last week? And, you know, I've been one of the few people out here that said I don't think he's going to get traded. I told you I'm going to die on that hill. And if the time comes where they have to do something, he's not coming back, and they realize it's not a good situation for any parties involved, and they move him, then I will come on here and I will offer up a big 00. But until then, I'm going to die on this hill. They're not trading him, but specifically, the reason they can come out and be so definitive now, there isn't going to be another football game played for 8 months. And not a meaningful one for another 7. Translation, nothing has to be done now. He can bitch and moan and complain all he wants. He can talk about he wants to play for another organization. He'll never play for the Texans again. They can have a hardline stance of, we're not trading him, leave us alone, stop calling, because it's February. Nothing has to be done now. Nothing has to be done next month or the month after that or the month after that or the month after that. Nothing has to be done in the foreseeable future. They've got plenty of time for cooler heads. At least they're hoping for cooler heads to prevail, for this thing to simmer down, for them to have a chance, him to put down his walls a bit, allow them to talk. They really feel like their head coach has great communication skills, and that if he just gets a chance to talk to Deshaun, he can woo him back. And maybe Deshaun just needs time heals all wounds. That's what I was once told. Maybe time allows Deshaun to not be as frustrated. And maybe it gives David Cuffey an opportunity to get in there and talk to Deshaun and get him to understand the vision and that, hey, things are going to be different now. It's a different time. It's a different ship that we're running, and you're the captain of the ship. Come be my captain. I don't know. Could be wishful thinking, but the moral of the story is there's no football happening for the next 6 to 7 months. They don't have to do anything, so they can take this hardline stance. My thing is, if he's not traded by the first day of the 2021 draft, to me, it's not going to happen. And if it does, how does it benefit the team that's trading for him? Because he doesn't get traded until it's time for camp in July. If he's not going to show up and they realize that this guy doesn't care about money and being fined, he doesn't want to play here anymore, and he's willing to accrue fines, okay, well, let's just move him then. Like, we don't want to do this thing if he doesn't want to do it. But by the time you get your hands on him, it's August. By the time they figure that out, because training camps don't start till late July. He's got to sit out for like 2 weeks for them to say, okay, shit, he's really serious here. He's taking all these fines and he doesn't give a shit. He's not coming back. Still hasn't missed a game check yet, but these fines are pretty hefty. And he doesn't care. He doesn't want to play here. Okay, let's move him. Now it's August. How quickly is he? I mean, he's Deshaun Watson, but how quickly is he really going to be able to get in there, assimilate himself with his new teammates, and learn the playbook and the verbiage and everything, and get in there and just be a beast? It's going to take a little while. You much rather get your hands on him right now or in April than in August. But we'll see. The Texans can remain firm on not trading him because it's February. He can remain resolute in his quest to get out. It's February. So expect this stalemate to continue throughout March and into April. The real question is what happens on April 26th. That's the real question. We'll see. In case you missed it, Jets have heard from multiple teams regarding Sam Darnold. Doesn't mean they're going to trade him. I think they're ultimately going to trade him, but that means there's interest. And why wouldn't there be? He's young. I've been saying all along, and that's another double O, but I'm not offering up a double O for that shit. I'm not doing it. I did enough of those today. I'm not doing it again. I've been talking about him being a one-year rental. Well, if you trade for his contract, you have the ability to pick up the fifth-year option. What team is going to trade for Sam Darnold and not pick up the fifth-year option? And with the new CBA rules, the fifth-year option isn't just this, stagnant number that is usually the most money that a quarterback or any rookie player for that matter that's a first-round pick can make in their contract, because that fifth year is usually the most lucrative on a rookie contract. That's no longer the case. CBA clearly states now that your fifth-year option, if it is to be picked up, is based off of production, essentially. So if you're not performing well, maybe the fifth-year option's a little bit less. If you're playing a lot better, then you'll get the bulk of that fifth-year option. It's like a sliding scale, so to speak. It doesn't matter. Whether it was fully guaranteed or not, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you get 2 years, potentially, to figure out if Sam Darnold's your quarterback of the future or not. The guy's making a base salary of $9.7 million this year. It's nothing. It's peanuts for a starting quarterback in the league. Someone's going to trade for him. And as I mentioned, I think they're going to be able to fetch a late first for him. I personally wouldn't give up more than a 2 for Sam Darnold at this point. He hasn't proven anything in this league. Man, it's 45 touchdowns, 39 interceptions. He's been a loser his entire career. And all of that is through no fault of his own, really. It's a bad organization. He needs a change of scenery. Anybody would that's been in the mess that's been the Jets these last 3 years, like Sam Darnold has been. He's been trapped, is essentially what he's been. A terrible head coach in Adam Gase, a dysfunctional front office with an owner that was overseas as an ambassador, but getting into trouble overseas. And Woody Johnson, his brother, has run the organization into the ground. It's a mess. There's been no talent around Sam Darnold in New York. It's been a mess. Backstabbing and backbiting between coaches and front office guys. That's why Mike McCagnon is out. He just needs a change of scenery. I'm not advocating for Sam Darnold. Okay, I wasn't a Sam Darnold fan coming out of SC. He's done nothing in the league to blow me away, but I do recognize the talent. And I do think he needs another shot. Somewhere where it's not dysfunctional. Somewhere where there's actually a supporting cast worth a damn. They're going to trade Sam Darnold. It makes no sense to hold on to him when you're drafting the quarterback of the future. He's an asset. Use him as such. They're going to get something for him, and I think they're going to end up getting a 1 for him. I personally wouldn't trade anything more than a 2 for him, but I think they're going to get a 1 for him when it's all said and done. In case you missed it, the salary cap is expected to drop from $198 million, where it was this past season, to about $180 to $181 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. This is up about $5 or $6 million from the $175 million that it was expected to drop to. And while that doesn't seem all that significant in the grand scheme of things, whoa, an extra $5 or $6 mil. $5 or $6 million is the difference between the Bucs being able to bring back Leonard Fournette on a 1-year, $5 million deal, $4.5, $6 million deal, and them saying, hey, Leonard, we don't have it. Sorry. That's the difference between your team being able to take a flyer on John Ross this offseason and say, hey, John, what you got for $4.5 million? And saying, hey, John, we don't have it, guy. You got to go somewhere else and get that prove-it deal, that 1-year prove-it deal. $5 to $6 million could help a lot of teams out there, especially those strapped for cash. So it is a significant amount. We'll see what they ultimately decide on. In case you missed it, there's been a lot of speculation out there as to the whereabouts of Jameis Winston this offseason and where he'll end up. A lot of people in Washington are like, hey, don't forget about Jameis. He's intriguing. New Orleans like, hey. Eyes off the merchandise, guys. It's our shit over here. We signed him to the $1.15 million deal. We took a chance on him for 1 year. You didn't. We invested a whole entire year on Jameis Winston. Now we're looking to recoup. He's our guy. We think he's the future here. Bad back. Okay. By all accounts and reports, the Saints feel like Jameis is in line to be their guy. Now they're going to have to sign him to more than a $1.15 million deal. That's for sure. But looks like they think he's the guy in New Orleans. Does there have to be this massive drop-off in New Orleans? That defense is still good as shit. No, doesn't have to be. But that depends on Jameis Winston. It really does. Can Jameis limit the amount of mistakes? Can he manage the game a little bit better? Can he rein in the turnover inner demon inside of him? Can he suppress it? Or will he continue to be a guy that keeps both teams in the ballgame? That's going to determine if the Saints are 8-8 or 11-5. Should be interesting, but we'll see. Right now, all signs point to Jameis ending back up in New Orleans. And I don't doubt that. In case you missed it, I thought it was an interesting weekend for the Dallas Cowboys and the Dak Prescott camp. So, over the weekend, Emmitt Smith, a very famed and prestigious member of the Cowboys family. And we get this from time to time from the elite Cowboys, from one of the triplets. And really, they're the only three whose voices really, carry any weight these days in Dallas of former players. Anybody else speaks out, okay, whatever, shut up. But if it's Emmitt, if it's Troy, or if it's Michael, it stings a little bit more, okay? And we know Troy has been, somewhat vocal about some of the decisions made by Dallas over the years. I love Troy. And I know a lot of Washington fans can't stand him, think he's biased when he does Washington. I don't think that to be the case at all. I actually think him and Moose Johnson do a tremendous job doing games. And Emmitt came out this weekend, and Emmitt doesn't say a ton. So when he speaks, you listen. And Emmitt said, I don't think the Cowboys are tied to Dak Prescott. And I don't know if he's in Dak's camp or if Dak's camp said, hey, man, you can do us a huge solid by throwing this out here, Emmitt. Or if Emmitt was just speaking off the cuff. Boy, this felt like a move by Dak's people. Because not even 24 hours after Emmitt comes out and makes that comment about, hey, man, I don't know if Dallas is tied to Dak or not. Doesn't feel like it. There's a report coming out of Dallas like, hey, I don't know what the hell intel Emmitt has. Don't know where he's getting his information from. Emmitt's our guy. But he's wrong on this one. And this is what you do when you've got a guy that you're trying to make sure you keep happy. This is how the Texans effed shit up. They didn't quickly put out fires. This is what you do when you got a guy that has you by the balls. You put fires out before they even start. Somebody lights a match and you go, Somebody throws out a cigarette butt, you go and you step on that shit just to make sure it's dead. No fires around here. As a wise man or a wise bear once told me, only you can prevent forest fires. Well, the Cowboys quickly put this one out. Hey, hold on. Dak's not entering free agency. Okay? Either we're slapping the franchise tag on him or we're going to reach a long-term deal. He's not going anywhere. Well, they put that to bed quick. Even if they're not sure if that's going to happen, that's what you do. You put out a united front that says, hey, nah, this is our guy. Just in case Dak was having some thoughts about maybe they really don't love number 4. Maybe they do want out of the Dak business. They said, nah. He's going to be here. And I told you all along, that's what I've expected. So either that's a hell of a play by the Dak Prescott camp, and Emmett's a part of that camp, or the Cowboys did some really good damage control. I love it either way. He's not going anywhere. In case you missed it, we got to talk Carson Wentz, man. Wentz deal imminent. This per Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and all the guys that do this for a living. Eagles want a first. That's reported, and they're going to get it, more likely than not. With all the quarterback madness going on, they're going to get a first, which to me is asinine after the season Wentz just turned in. However, this is the kicker. You ready for this? And I know you've heard it already. I'm not delivering any breaking news here, but they're looking for a Stafford-type haul. Are you kidding me? Go F yourself. You remember earlier I said there are different forms of no? And they can come in all different types of wrapping and packaging, but it's the same shit. Just in different packaging. That's all, just in different wrapping. Well, this no feels a little bit different, you know? Like, I would want to say it so that Howie Roseman feels it in his core. Like, down to the bottom of the soles of his feet. Go F yourself if you think you get 2 first-round picks for Carson Wentz. Seriously. And that needs to be followed up by a bang job. If I'm the Bears, and this is the team that's being rumored, they want their guy, Big Dick Nick, back. But they still want first-rounders. They want to do it this way. You know how the Lions got 2 firsts, the 3rd, and Jared Goff? Well, they want 2 firsts, Nicholas Foles, and like a 4th or a 5th, and they'll call it even. They are seriously trying to get a Matthew Stafford haul. And I'm like, if I'm Ryan Pace and they call me with that bullshit, I'm like Adam Sandler on Big Daddy, where he gets mad at his dad and he says, I hope I'm not saving you no money on this call. And he hits the hang up on the payphone like 6 times before he hangs up. Oh, I'm banging on his ass. You want what? Hey, call me back when you serious, man. Bam! I'm hanging up with authority. And you know, you can't do that anymore. I mean, it's a cell phone. So what are you going to do? Hit the end button with authority? You're going to slam it down? Ha! There's got to be a way to make sure he knows that you're pissed off when you hang up. Maybe you slam the phone down face first on the desk hard. Not to break your screen or anything. No, you Apple users, all you bastards out there, phones are really delicate pieces of shit. It's another discussion for another day. But slam this shit down face first where the speaker is, and then slide it back down and hit the off button. So he knows I'm banging on your ass with authority. I don't know. They'll probably get a first. But if there's some dummy out there willing to give them 2 first-round picks, you should be slapped 17 different times. We'll see what happens. This is the thing. Wentz, and I told you guys this before, he's not garbage, and he's not beyond repair. Now, I think he's mentally fragile, which I can't stand. I'm too much of a competitor to have a guy that looks like he's mentally weak. that looks like he may have some form of competition anxiety. Those guys scare me. That gets their egos hurt a little bit, and all of a sudden they're now a little bruised. Their ego gets bruised, and now you gotta go over there and you gotta put your arm around him, and you gotta rub him on his arm and say, "Hey Carson, it's gonna be all right. You're our guy. We love ya." If I gotta keep doing that shit to you over and over and over again, I just rather not. But he's talented, man. Similar to what I said about Sam Darnold. He's talented. And maybe he just needs a change of scenery. Maybe Nicholas Foles' success was much too much for him to bear. Too much for him to feel like, I got to get out of his shadow. I can't do it. Whatever. He's going to get traded this week. And I think it's one of two places. I think it's Chicago. I think it's Indy. I can assure you of this. Chris Ballard isn't giving up 2 ones for Carson Wentz. It ain't happening. If that's what you're calling trying to get, you might as well not even fix your lips, nor pick up the phone and dial Chris Ballard's number, because you're not getting no 2 ones for him. Chris Ballard's one of the best in the biz, and he's not going to allow you to fleece him. Because that's a fleecer for Carson Wentz. Matthew Stafford was one of the most prolific passers in NFL history. When it's all said and done, when he hangs up his jersey, you're going to look up, and Matthew Stafford is going to be in the top 7 of just about every statistical category in the NFL. Now, you can sit here, you can debate, well, that's garbage yards, and it's this. I don't give a shit. That's an awful lot of garbage yards if that's what you're contending at. It's an awful lot of garbage touchdowns. Awful lot of garbage, whatever else there is. Completion percentage, everything. He's going to be in the top 7. It's all said and done. Awful lot of completions for some garbage time. The only thing he doesn't have attached to his name right now is wins. That could all change in Los Angeles. The same cannot be said for Carson Wentz right now. He's had some good years in Philadelphia. Remember, 2019 was just like 30-7. Like, don't make the mistake of thinking that this dude is trash. Because he's not. But he's delicate. He's a little delicate flower. He's a fragile, delicate flower. I don't know if I want my quarterback to be a delicate, fragile flower. I don't know if that's what I want. Somebody's going to trade for him, though. Right now, it sounds like the Bears. They're desperate, man. Jobs are on the line in Chicago. Ryan Pace is skating on thin ice. I mean, their head coach out there, we didn't know if he was going to be back this year, okay? Like, they know what's at stake. They need a playoff season or they're both fired. They know what's up. You never want to give a desperate man the keys to the car. Because if you tell them, look, man, this could be your last time in the whip, they like, well, F it. I'm about to take this shit on a joyride. You about to take that shit on a joyride, man. They might not clear a corner. Boop. Not my problem, not my car after I take it back. Might not get into that tight parking space. Whoop, there goes a little bit of paint. Oh, I don't give a shit. It's not my car after I take it back. Damn. Just hit that little pole backing into this little area here. Lost a window. Yeah. Again, not my problem after I turn this thing in. It's what Bill O'Brien did. Look what he did to the car. Not my problem. Not my problem. Turn the car back in and say, hey, you gave me the keys. I drove the hell out of this shit. Put 200,000 miles on it. You need 2 new front tires. Probably need an alignment. You need to probably check the transmission. It was kind of getting a little flaky on me towards the end. Yeah, I drove the hell out of it. But here you go. Tossed them back the keys. Left it a mess. The Bears could do that too. This could be a crippling trade if they execute this. Don't do it, Bears. Don't do it. Put the phone down. We'll see what the hell they decide to do. But in any event, that's going to do it for In Case You Missed It, which is your de facto Gem Droppin Session. So let's get to our Super Bowl 55 leftovers. I do want to read a couple comments. This first one is from my guy, Ree, who says, the champs are here! The champs are here! Lou, you're damn right they are. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are your 2020-2021 NFL Super Bowl champions. Indeed. Mike Lowry says, that Super Bowl was trash. I hope Brady retires so we can get back to unscripted games. I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you, but Brady's not going anywhere, just so you know. Mike Lowry says, it's confirmed Dak has followed Washington football team's IG. I would love that. Who cares? What different? Dak isn't in control of Dallas slapping a franchise tag on him. He's in control of whether he signs that franchise tag or whether he signs a long-term deal that Dallas puts in front of him. But he doesn't control anything in terms of the only thing he can control, and I told you, he's got Dallas by the balls, is the parameters of the deal. And if they decide they want to pay him 120 to 25% more of what his contract was last year on that one-year deal on the franchise tag, he'll sign that. No doubt. I wouldn't sign it until after camp. But he's a good soldier. He'll sign it and he'll show up to camp on time. But if he really wanted to drag the Cowboys through the mud, I don't need these reps. It's the same offense we had last year, right? Yeah, okay, well, I don't need to be at camp. F that. I'll sign this thing maybe before preseason game number 2. The quarterbacks don't have a tough, grueling training camp, though. He'll be there for camp. It's not the same as like a running back or a linebacker or somebody like that. It's putting wear and tear on their bodies in camp. Anyway, it doesn't matter that he followed us on IG. Who cares? All that shit is cosmetics anyway. It's all for show. It's all for show. JP says, I knew Devin White was talented as an LSU fan, and I knew he was special as a player and a leader. Yeah. I knew he was special too. I just didn't know he was that special. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to our Super Bowl 55 leftovers, man. These leftovers, I'm going to just let you know, I'm a pizza leftover guy. The crust on this is a little hard. And then when I put it in the microwave, and I told you I'm not a microwave guy, but I put it in the microwave and then the crust turned spongy on me. You ever had one of those spongy crusts where you bite it and you stretch it and that shit's like a piece of goddamn Play-Doh and it just keeps stretching and stretching? Not the most delectable and delicious leftovers. Not from a 31-9 spanking. I'm going to eat them anyway. Let's start here. Dominant performance by the Buccaneers defense. Todd Bowles is the man. God, I love me some Todd Bowles. That was my guy. I wanted him in Washington. You guys know that. Ron has been tremendous in Washington. Don't regret it. Man, I wanted Todd Bowles, though. I wanted Todd Bowles in the worst way. Wanted Todd Bowles. I would have taken Greg Williams. I wanted a defensive-minded guy. We got one. We got Ron Rivera. But, man, is Todd Bowles good. Told you he got a raw deal with the Jets. He's going to get another job, man. And he deserves it. I'm not a big retread guy. You know, but sometimes you learn from your first exposure as a head coach. And the second time is when you really are able to say, all right, I learned from some of the things I did the first time. I'm not doing that if I get another opportunity again. I think he learned some things, and he'd be much better off. And I told you, he got a raw deal. He never had a quarterback with the Jets. The man won 10 games with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He got a raw deal with the Jets. He's going to get another job. Man, was he extraordinary. This entire postseason. Not just the Super Bowl. Super Bowl stands out because nobody, and I mean nobody, does that to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hadn't been done before, and it's not going to be done too many more times after either. They didn't score a single touchdown. Who would have predicted that? Okay, so say you thought Tampa Bay was going to win this game. You didn't predict that they wouldn't score a single touchdown, that they would only muster 3 field goals. You didn't predict that. Nobody did. I don't care if you bet money on it. You didn't believe that. I can't tell you how many times I try to talk myself into Washington winning the game or keeping it competitive, and I know in my heart of hearts, we're going to get our asses whooped, aren't we? Yeah, and I'm talking to myself, yeah, we're going to get our asses whooped pretty good. But I can talk that talk. We got a shot, and I can give all the reasons why. You don't believe it, though. And nobody believed that they were going to get shut out of the end zone. But they did. Now, some of that was on the Chiefs. They dropped some passes. They dropped 2 touchdowns. I talked about that yesterday. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But Todd Bowles is the effing man. You know who else is the effing man? My next leftover, Uncle Bruce. God damn it, I love me some Bruce Arians. Remember? Uncle Bruce? The cool cat with the Kango hat to match? Him. Remember that guy from Arizona? Uncle Bruce. Yeah, Uncle B. That's my guy, man. B.A. is the man. Couldn't be happier for anybody. You see his staff? It's a bunch of brothers. Up and down. Couple of females. Bruce is doing it big. And anytime you try to give Uncle Bruce the credit, nah. That was Byron Leftwich. Don't give that shit to me. Nah. That was Todd Bowles. Don't give that shit to me. How can you not love Uncle Bruce? And his 95-year-old mama, who came out in COVID seeds Tampa Bay, says, you know what? I'm coming out and I'm supporting my son. I'm going to wear my mask. This is where I want to be. I love his mama. I love her son. And I love the fact that Uncle Bruce got him one. Nah, not as an assistant coach like he did in Pittsburgh. Uncle Bruce got him one as the man, as the guy. Nobody deserves it more than Uncle Bruce. That's my guy, and I'm happy for him, man. And I remember when he took the job in Tampa, I told my guy Reed, I said, you're getting a hell of a coach, and he's going to turn shit around. I don't know how long you got with his health issues. That was the thing that scared me. But I said, while he's there, you're going to win. I didn't know how big you were going to win. But you're going to win some shit with B.A. there. Well, they hoisted the Lombardi last night. Good for B.A., man. Next leftover. Andy Reid and his staff got worked. They got worked. That Tampa Bay Buccaneers staff, they puts in work. Work their ass. From the opening kickoff to the final interception by Devin White. They worked their ass. I talked about adjustments that needed to be made. I talked about, hey, you got to run it against light boxes. You got to bring that safety down into the box. You can't let them play too high safety the entire game. They didn't start making a concerted effort to run the football until the second half. Their first big run of the game was a delayed draw handoff on the opening snap of the third quarter. They didn't start running the football until it was almost too late. And he was getting chunks. They were getting light boxes the entire game, and they just thought, like every time, we're going to throw him out of this thing. Don't worry about it. I said, but what happened to the shit you was doing in the regular season? When Houston gave you a light box. When Buffalo gave you a light box. And you just ran it down. What happened to that? That was preparing you for this moment. You got an in-game quiz and you failed. I don't understand. Andy and his musical chairs on the offensive line, I talked about that last night. Epic fail. Defensively, you had to do something. You had to come after Brady. I thought it was a tremendous game plan on the part of Tampa. And who didn't see it coming? Short passing game. Kick your ass if you decide to blitz. So they backed off. They were going to have to hit me with something big, though. They was going to have to pop a screen for 47 to get me to stop. They was going to have to catch one of my corners napping like they did right before the half. I mean, how could you let that happen? They just did it against Green Bay. It was one of the biggest plays of the game. How could you let them run by you before halftime? Andy Reid and his staff got worked. Steve Spagnuolo got worked by Byron Leftwich. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy got worked by Todd Bowles. They got worked. They got worked. The officials were terrible. But not the reason Kansas City lost the game. So let's stop all of that. They were terrible. It was 8-1 in terms of penalties in the first half of this game. 8 for Kansas City. And these weren't little ticky-tack offsides and illegal shift. These weren't the 5-yard variety. No. These were crime dog. Taking a bite out of the Chiefs' ass type of penalties. These hurt. They were impactful. They change outcomes of games. Some of that was on the Chiefs, though. Wasn't all on the officiating. Some of this was on Kansas City. The holding penalty after your dumb punter drops the ball. He had to hold, or that guy was going to block the kick. He got caught. Didn't Neiman. It's okay. He got a do-over. I said, you just kick the shit out of it. Kick the shit out of it again. He kicks it 24 yards. I thought the pass interference penalties were egregious. I thought the holding penalty on Charkandrick West was just awful on the interception. Are you kidding me? Seriously? That took what we thought was going to be 3 points off the board. They didn't get the offsides penalty. That's on the Chiefs. That led to a 7 spot. So essentially, it should have been 0 on that possession. The touchdown before the half, that was all the officiating crew. I didn't think the first penalty on the pass interference on Breland on Evans was a penalty, but okay. He falls down. You call it. I can live with that one. I didn't like it at all. Thought feet got tangled. Shit happens. Let it go. They did. Okay, but the one in the end zone, because they still had a chance to hold him to a field goal, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. And you know it. That ball, Mike Evans couldn't have caught that football on a damn trampoline. That is the pure definition of uncatchable. Again, thought the officiating crew was too involved in the first half. Then, they missed some shit in the second half. Clyde Edwards-Helaire jumps false start on a pass that he catches for like 8-9 yards on the sidelines. I'm like, how did you miss that? He's standing right in front of you, official. Gronk, on his big catch and run, I don't know if you remember that first possession of the second half for Tampa after Kansas City gets a field goal. The Buccaneers respond with a touchdown. And one of the biggest plays on that drive is a Gronk seam ball for about 28. And he barely missed scoring a touchdown. There's a shoestring tackle or Gronk is gone. Well, he false started his ass off on that play. I mean, literally jumped a full half a second before anybody else moved. They didn't call it. How can you miss that? The officials were at best a C-, probably a D in this game. In the biggest game, and generally, I can say this about the Super Bowl, generally the officials don't get in the way in a Super Bowl. This crew effed it up. They really did. And I thought the guys that were doing the championship games were phenomenal. They picked this ass-tastic crew to F up the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. Kansas City, a lot of that was self-inflicted, and they weren't the better team in this game. They simply were not. Why can I say that with confidence? Here's why. Patrick Mahomes, the most pressured quarterback in Super Bowl history. Let me read that again for the people in the back that don't understand what I am saying right here. I talked about this last night. This guy was under siege. He did not stand a chance. And yet, Patrick Mahomes found a way to not get sacked 20 times because a lesser quarterback would have been sacked 20 times last night. And I'm not bullshitting. I'm not being facetious. Unless you're throwing shit away immediately, to just flip it on its head, if it was Tom Brady, he would have been sacked 11 times last night. Tom would have laid the hell down. He ain't got nowhere to go. You can't throw it away. It'll be intentional grounding because you're still in the pocket. It would have been 11 sacks. No bullshit. Here's why I know this. Patrick Mahomes, most pressured quarterback in Super Bowl history. Pressured on 55% of his 49 dropbacks. 29 of his 49 dropbacks he was pressured on. You can't win like that. I don't give a shit who you are. Mahomes, Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, you can't live and function in an environment when soon as you drop back, somebody's screaming down your ass. And I said it had to be a collective effort. It had to be a group rush. And as I mentioned last night, everybody got involved. It was a party. Fiesta, fiesta, fiesta. Fiesta, fiesta. Woo! I mean, everybody. Name a defensive lineman. I'll give you a play where they got pressure. Roches Nunez. Or Nunez Roches. Or whatever his damn name is. Anthony Nelson. Ndamukong Suh. William Golson. Shaq Barrett. JPP. You name it. You down with OPP. Everybody got them something. Yeah, you know me. Hell, I could have got on the field. Throw me on a 70-something. I could have got pressure last night. And yet Mahomes found a way to give his guys a chance. Patrick Mahomes played out of his brains last night. I hope you guys recognize that. With a hurt toe, an offensive line that was a turnstile. I thought at one point, I said, you got to start charging these guys. This can't be free admission. You're letting too many people in. You got to start. If you're going to lose this game 31-9, at least start making some money. Cover your overhead costs at least. Start charging these dudes for getting in on every damn play. At least you get some money back. It's ridiculous. And he gave Tyreek Hill a chance. Drop on the first possession of the game. Should have been a touchdown. He gave Williams a chance, Darrell Williams a chance, hit him in his face mask. Hit both of their asses in their face mask, matter of fact. Should have been touchdowns. They should have been in this game because of the strength of Patrick Mahomes. I hear all the time, get off of Mahomes' nuts. He ain't all that. Bullshit. Watch the game last night. He was the only reason they had a shot. His teammates let him down. Offensive line let him down. Receivers let him down. Travis Kelce with a third down drop. Tyreek Hill with a touchdown drop. Darrell Williams with a touchdown drop. They let him down. He did his thing. He's throwing the football. We talked about this against the Bills where I said the man is falling out of bounds sideways and he's throwing it 45 yards. Well, that was Josh Allen. I talked about how Mahomes is one of these guys throwing from these weird-ass angles. Josh Allen is another one of these guys, ridiculous. Mahomes literally was parallel to the ground as he's getting hit. He gets tripped up by William Golston. He's going down. The man throws a perfect pass over a Buccaneers defender right to Darrell Williams in the end zone. He drops it. Like, are you kidding me? Guy eludes a rusher as he's going out of bounds, flicks it. I don't think it should have been a catch by Demarcus Robinson, but he had a chance. It touched his hands. That's not one of those, hey, it touches his hands, you got to catch the football. It was a tough one. It was high. It's a little high. Still a hell of a play to even get it there. And then the Tyreek Hill one, that to me, I think the Darrell Williams one was the one that took the cake. But the one where he's scrambling to his left to Tyreek Hill, where he flicks it, sidearm, running to his left. Are you kidding me? Just a little flick. Flip. The referees weren't the reason the Chiefs lost the game. They got out-coached, they got outplayed, and the Chiefs simply didn't get it done. They dropped the ball, literally and figuratively. Brady's 7th Super Bowl. Where does that put him in the pantheon of American sports athletes? Where does that put him? Been to the chip 10 times, walked home with it 7 times. Where does that put him? I think this is his 5th Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken. Deion Branch won one in one of those Super Bowls. And I think Edelman won one in another Super Bowl. But he's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. He shouldn't have won it last night. That was bullshit. That should have been Devin White's MVP trophy, and everybody knows it. That doesn't matter. That's beyond the point. 7 of these things for Tom Brady. What does that put him? Greatest American sports athlete of all time? Do you put him above Jordan? I don't. I told you, nobody can ever top Jordan for me. It'll never happen. Brady could win 3 more Super Bowls. He still won't be better than Jordan. But I don't think there's a football player that's even in the same neighborhood, zip code, state of Tom Brady. I don't even think that's even a debate. It's hard, man. He's on Mount Rushmore. You know, if you want to go back, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jim Brown. Okay, fine. If you want to do that thing, then do that thing. I didn't see those guys. I can't speak to that. I listened to those that came before me, and I understand the dominance of those guys. This is different. The level of athlete is different today than it was then. It's harder to win now than it was then. Now the level of physicality is a lot different now. I mean, hell, take Brady back 2 decades and he would not be playing to the age of 43. Trust me. Brady would have retired 7-8 years ago with 4 Super Bowls. What they say, he had 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 seasons and then didn't win another Super Bowl until he was 37. Is that true? 36 or something like that? And now he's won an additional 4 after the age of 37 or 36, whatever it was. He wouldn't have won any more Super Bowls. He'd have just been a 3-time Super Bowl winner if he would have played in the 80s or the 90s. Oh, he would have got his clock clean enough. Because remember, Giselle told us 2 off seasons ago, hey, yeah, Tom's had some concussions. He's like, Giselle, you better shut the hell up. You better shut the hell up. When you hear no more out of Giselle and concussion talk, trust me, Tom would have got his shit cleaned 2 or 3 more times, and it would have been one of those Aeneas Williams on Steve Young hits, a LeVar Arrington on Troy Aikman hits, and his ass would have been done at the age of 35. But it's a different era. And Tom's playing at 43, and he's going to play next year at 44. We've never seen anyone do it for as long as Tom's done it at this high of a level. There's got to be something said for that. For me, he's right behind Jordan, man. He's right behind MJ. He's got more Super Bowls by himself than any other organization as a whole. Let that sink in. He had won every Super Bowl for the Patriots. So he was tied with New England. He was tied with Pittsburgh. They had 6. or they have 6. The 49ers, I think, have been chasing that elusive 6th championship. They've come close a couple of times, haven't gotten there, but I think they have 5. So does Dallas. Nobody has 7, though. Tom Brady has 7. Wowzers. Anyway, I digress. Let's wrap this thing up with garbage time. So, I want to implore you right now to subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. It's 130 of you out there. Only 45 likes. Why do I have to beg you guys every single time? Hit the like button, man. Show some support. Thank you. So, the Hall of Fame class of 2021 was announced on the Super Bowl weekend, as it always is. They had the NFL Honors Show, and during that show, we find out the newest members of the Hall of Fame. 8 names have been picked. Thus, they will be enshrined and forever illuminated in Canton. I want to start by saying this. The NFL Hall of Fame, we had this discussion last year, or it might have been 2 years ago, when Deion said, hey, they just letting anybody in. This shit is really watered down. It is. I believe that. Of all the Hall of Fames, I think the NFL's Hall of Fame is the most watered down. However, unlike baseball or basketball, there are more players that play. So it makes sense that more guys are going to get in. But I just wanted to bring up that baseball had their Hall of Fame voting just this past month or so. I think it was at the end of January. Nobody got it. 0. They're like, hey, don't worry. We still didn't actually honor our 2020 class with Jeter and all those guys. So we'll do that for the 2021 class. We don't have anybody for that. Okay. Cool. I think baseball's got the purest Hall of Fame. The purest. They don't just let anybody in. Like, you really gotta have a Hall of Fame career. You could be like Terrell Davis. Love Terrell Davis. He's not a Hall of Fame player. A guy that's on this list that I'm about to read to you, not a Hall of Fame player. He may ultimately get it. He's not a Hall of Fame player. He didn't play long enough. Terrell Davis didn't play long enough. He's not a Hall of Fame player. Sorry. Not sorry. But the NFL just be letting dudes in because they like them. So 15 finalists were listed. And of the 15, 5 were selected. Let's run through this list quickly and talk about the 5 guys that got it. So the 15 finalists reads as follows. Jared Allen, Ronnie Barber, Tony Baselli, Leroy Butler, Alan Faneca, Torrey Holt, Calvin Johnson, Heavens to Muggletron. I just had to do that. Don't get to do it anymore. John Lynch, Peyton Manning, Clay Matthews, Sam Mills, may he rest in peace, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, Reggie Wayne, Charles Woodson. Those were your 15 finalists. Of that group of 15, 5 got in. Alan Faneca, famed Pittsburgh Steelers guard, 6-time All-Pro. He deserves to get in. Heavens to Muggletron! Calvin Johnson, first ballot Hall of Famer. Should he have been first ballot? I usually gauge Hall of Famers on, when I watched them, did I say, that dude's definitely a Hall of Famer when he's done? I said that when Calvin Johnson, even though he finished early, left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, I'm not going to lie. But the body of work, the man almost had 2,000 yards in one season receiving. First ballot, I think he deserves it. I thought about it long and hard. He was the most dominant receiver in the league when he played, and it was hands down. John Lynch. I really liked John Lynch. When his career was done, I'm like, I don't really think you're a Hall of Famer, dude. I think you're a really good player. You know, I think sometimes I don't really respect the safety position the way that I should. Like, in terms of the value of what these guys mean. Because I didn't think Brian Dawkins at one point was a Hall of Famer. I was like, Brian Dawkins was a hell of a football player. Weapon X, he'd come out, he'd yell, he'd scream, he'd do all of this shit. It was Brian Dawkins. He was good. He'd safety blitz, he'd strip you. Yeah. But then I'd listen to people and they're like, oh, Brian Dawkins, he was the man. And I'm like, really? I always thought he was pretty damn good. I kind of felt the same way about John Lynch. I think of Hall of Fame safeties, I think of Ed Reed. I think of guys like that. But I guess enforcers, hard hitters, guys that could do a little bit of everything, make plays on the football too. There's a place in Canton for them as well. John Lynch probably deserves to get in. Hey, man. Is there even a discussion to be had here? Like, I feel like I'd just be talking just because I like to hear myself talk. Charles Woodson. At one point of his career, his reputation, I thought, far outseeded the level of play we were actually getting on the field, especially towards the end of his tenure in Oakland. Like, he was going to Pro Bowls, and I'm like, Charles Woodson isn't all that good. You do know this, right? It wasn't until he got to Green Bay where he started doing shit, where you go, huh, that's why you won the Heisman Trophy back in Michigan. Didn't know you could do that. Starts picking shit off, starts punching the ball out, forcing fumbles. He was a big part of the reason that Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. I told you that I don't care how elite your quarterback is, if you don't play defense, you're not going to win. Which is why I've been telling Washington fans, you must build this defense. Rodgers doesn't have a Super Bowl if guys like Charles Woodson aren't making plays back in 2011. The 2010 season, but they won the Super Bowl in 2011. He was outstanding, man. He was forcing fumbles. He was picking shit off. Then I thought what cinched it for him, he makes the transition to safety, and he's just as good a safety as he was. Like, most guys don't have that second act, like a Rod Woodson, who makes the switch from corner to safety and is just as good, if not better, at safety than he was corner. Most guys can't do that. We talk about it all the time. Oh, he was such a good corner. We should move him to safety. Not everybody can do that. Ronnie Lott did it. Charles Woodson did it. Rod Woodson did it. It's a very select group of guys that made the switch from elite corner to elite safety. Woodson did that. And when he did that, I said, if there was any doubt, that doubt has been put to rest. He's a Hall of Famer. He deserved to go. First ballot? Yeah. I think it's a prestigious group. You know, last year's group, I was like, I mean, I think that's what prompted Deion to make the statement that he did. Last year's group was really, really lackluster, man. I remember sitting here and saying, what is this? What the hell is this? What are we doing? What are we doing? I think all five of these guys belong in the Hall of Fame. And then Drew Pearson's, I'm going to stop. Drew Pearson got in, famed Cowboys wide receiver, the original 88. Bill Nunn, longtime Steelers scout, who was very impactful and influential in them winning all those Super Bowls in the 70s and really constructing that team. He's getting some love. And Tom Flores, who I thought was criminal that he wasn't already in the Hall of Fame. The man has won 4 Super Bowls, 3 as an NFL head coach. How many 3-time Super Bowl winning head coaches are not in the Hall of Fame? I'll wait for that list. because there aren't any. Okay? What the hell took them so long to get? I'm glad he's alive. Like, get people their flowers while they can still smell them. Don't wait till the guy dies. It took a damn Bud Light Seltzer commercial to get him a damn Hall of Fame jacket. It's bullshit. I'm glad he's getting in though. Let's look at the guys that didn't get it, that were finalists. What do you feel about Jared Allen? The Cowboy was pretty damn good, man. And when you look at his sack numbers and where he finished up in his career, I think he's going to probably get in. And he probably should. He was dominant. There were stretches there where Jared Allen was putting up 15 and 18 and 7, like consistently big boy numbers getting to the quarterback. Ronnie Barber has been and always will be a Hall of Famer for me. A part of so many exclusive clubs. He's a part of like the, 40-40 club, 40 sacks, 40 interceptions, some crazy. I mean, he to me was the epitome of, again, making the jump from corner to safety. Ronnie Barber was excellent. Love him. Should be a Hall of Fame. I thought he should have got in already, honestly. Tony Boselli is not a Hall of Fame football player, people. He's not. Abbreviated career. He was dominant for a short stretch. I don't give a shit how dominant you are. If you don't play long enough, and I guess you could kind of go with the Gale Sayers. It was a different time. Gale Sayers was just different. He should be in. Tony Boselli should not get into the Hall of Fame. I'm afraid he's going to get in eventually. Joe Jacoby is 10 times better than Tony Boselli. If Joe Jacoby is not in the Hall of Fame, Tony Boselli's ass better not get in. Leroy Butler, again, another really good player, but is he a Hall of Famer? I didn't watch Leroy Butler's career and walk away saying, he's a Hall of Famer. I said, he's a really good football player. You remember Darren Sharper? You remember him? Nobody wants to talk about him because he did some really nasty shit. He's like Bill Cosby Jr. out here drugging females, and he's got this ring all across the United States where he's drugging females and having sex with them. So nobody wants to talk about Darren Sharper. He was a hell of a football player, though. Darren Sharper was a hell of a football player for 3 different organizations: Green Bay, Minnesota, and New Orleans. It's a hell of a football player. Nobody wants to talk about him because he did some nasty shit. I get it. Leroy Butler and Darren Sharper are like in the same kind of category for me. Really good football player. Not Hall of Fame. Not Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt. He'll get it. He'll get it. I struggle with the Rams receivers from The Greatest Show on Turf because they weren't flashy. I felt like they were system receivers. Like if you took them and you put them somewhere else, they wouldn't have been as dominant. That's probably total bullshit. It's just me in my mind making shit up because I didn't want them in. Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt are Hall of Fame wide receivers. I think Bruce has already gotten in. Holt's going to get in. And he should probably get in. There were some massive years in there, and he did it for a long time. Not as long as Isaac Bruce, but I think Torrey Holt's going to get in eventually. Clay Matthews, can't really speak to that. Didn't see his career. I can't really say if he should or shouldn't get in. I'll leave that for someone much older than me. Sam Mills, I did see the tail end of his career, and he was damn good. He was a part of that Saints defense with Pat Swelling and Johnson and the Dome Patrol is what they called them. That was one of the best nicknames in NFL history, the Dome Patrol. Oh, man, they were good. Sam Mills was a part of it. For the first time, I think, 4 linebackers from the same team made it to the Pro Bowl. How does that happen? They were that good. Damn Dome Patrol. I used to love Pat Swelling, too. man, they were good. And Sam Mills was like he was like the heartbeat of that defense in New Orleans. Finished up his career in Carolina. He was a good football player. Really good football player. Undersized, but just found his way to the football. Relentless. You know, they got the statue of him in Carolina. Keep pounding. That's their moniker. If nothing else, he should just get in off the strength of who he was. But this is about who he was as a player, and he was a damn good football player. I think he'll ultimately get in. Here's another name that I may be tripping off of. And somebody will say, Louie T, you're wrong. Flat out wrong, dead ass wrong. That might be the case. But this is how. Richard Seymour is not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. I never, and I know he was dominant at times for the Patriots. I never once looked at Richard Seymour, and I don't give a shit how dominant he was in New England or how good he was at stopping the run. I never looked at Richard Seymour and said, he's a Hall of Famer, man. This guy is dominant. He is just a havoc wreaker. He's tearing shit up in the middle of the defense. No, he was really good. And he was an anchor for that defense. So good, in fact, that the Patriots decided to trade him 2 years before he was out of his prime to the Raiders. Miss me with Richard Seymour as a Hall of Famer. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. And I'm pretty sure I'll go look at his numbers. And he's got way more sacks than I thought. And he's right up there with some of the guys that I hold in high regard, like John Randall and some of these other guys that have gotten in as interior defensive linemen. I'm pretty sure I'll go look, and he's only 8 sacks behind John Randall. And I'll be like, well, a lot different than I thought. I don't recall a double-digit sack season for Richard Seymour. I'm you know what? I'm actually really interested now to see what his career stats were and what he ended up doing. Because I don't think there was a double-digit sack season in here. And again, it's not all about sacks. I say that all the time, but let's see. I could be wrong. The highest total he had in his career was an 8-sack season. It wasn't all about sacks, and I tell you that all the time. If you're just basing it off of sacks and you're not watching, I know he was dominant in the run game. At times he was unblockable, but I never got the sense that this guy is a Hall of Famer. I just didn't. 57.5 career sacks. That wasn't his game, though. He wasn't, sacks wasn't who he was. Like if you're a Steelers fan, Cam Hayward is a guy that you probably say, hey, he should deserve some Hall of Fame notoriety when he gets done. Let's take a look at Cam Hayward, because I think he's trending in that direction. Another 3 or 4 strong seasons for Cam Hayward to finish up his career. And I'm like, hey, Cam Hayward's a Hall of Famer for me. Let's look at his numbers. Because I've had Steelers fans say, well, he's a run stopper. Any sacks he gets, added benefit. I guarantee you there's 1 or 2 double-digit sack seasons in here for Cam Hayward's ass. I guarantee you that. Let's go look at his. And you know what? I bet you he's probably already exceeded 57.5 sacks. That's just a guess. I could be wrong. He might not be a big sack guy. Let's look at his numbers. Well, what do you know? Cam Hayward has 58 sacks in his career. Look at that. Or as my son would say, look at that. Look at that. He has a 9-sack season, which was just 2 years ago, an 8-sack season, which preceded the 9-sack season, and then he has a 12-sack season, which preceded the 8-sack season. Now, he only had 4 this past year, but there were dominant seasons in here from a sack perspective, and we know what he is as a run defender. To me, he's more of a Hall of Fame player, and he's not done yet. He's not done. He's going to end up with 60 some odd sacks, maybe even 70 if he has another 8-9 sack season in him. He might end up with 70 plus sacks. He looks more like a Hall of Famer than Richard Seymour. I'm sorry, Richard Seymour not a Hall of Fame player. I'm sorry, he's not. Zach Thomas. Love me some Zach Thomas. Is Zach Thomas really a Hall of Fame player? I struggle with this because I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player. I think he's a really good linebacker. A really good linebacker. Just like London Fletcher is a really good linebacker. I don't think London Fletcher's a Hall of Fame linebacker. I'm sorry. Washington fans out there, London Fletcher should be in all. No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't. London Fletcher's a really good player. Zach Thomas is a really good player. They're not Hall of Famers. I'm sorry. You can't let everybody in because you had fond memories of them in their playing careers. Or you can't let a guy in just because you remembered him playing. That's not how this works. Reginald Wayne. Is he a Hall of Famer? The answer is yes. One of the greatest number 2 wide receivers ever. Now, he got to spread his wings and become a number 1, and I actually thought he did a quality job of doing that, unlike Alvin Harper, who shit all over himself when he got the money to go to Tampa Bay and become a number 1. He was the best Robin that we've seen in the last 2 decades. There's something to be said about that. He's the equivalent of, not a good comp, because Marvin Harrison wasn't Michael Jordan. Neither was Peyton Manning, but he was like the equivalent of a Scottie Pippen. Reginald Wayne's numbers are there. He was dominant as a number 2. He was really good as a number 1. He'll get in. And I feel like he shouldn't have been a first ballot. I don't know if this was his first time on the ballot or his second. He'll get in. He deserves to get in. But that's the list. 8 guys in all. Alan Faneca deserves it. Calvin Johnson, heavens to Megatron, deserves it. John Lynch, guess he should get in. Peyton Manning deserves it. Charles Woodson deserves it. Drew Pearson, Bill Nunn, Tom Flores, all veterans that got in as well to round out the group. I find this very interesting every year when the Hall of Fame class is announced. This is going to be one of the most prestigious classes in recent memory. We've had some really good ones go in, but last year's left a lot to be desired. This one is going to be an outstanding one, to say the least, with some big names like Megatron, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson. So that's going to do it for your man, Louie T, here on the 138th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. As I mentioned to you guys, not going to have another show the remainder of the week. Got a lot of stuff going on. But I do want to thank you guys for chiming in, chopping it up with me on this 138th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. My man Pac-Man D3 says, is Vince Wilfork a Hall of Famer? No. Like, those are the types of guys, really good players, not Hall of Fame players. He says, is Kerrigan? Kerrigan's not even close to being a Hall of Famer. Like, his sack numbers are going to end up being really good, and that's all fine and dandy. Kerrigan was never an All-Pro. He was never a guy that offenses had the game plan to stop. It's not a Hall of Fame player. It's simple as that. Jordan Jones says, probably missed my super chat from last night, and I'm pretty sure I did because there were a few that got in there. You know, there were over 600 people in there. You know, once it gets lit like that, sometimes I got to do a better job of when I got a whole bunch of people in there, just go ahead and jump into the super chats. I'm going to do that in the future. But he says, missed my super chat for last night, but I just said, looking forward to your draft coverage and that Gronk was looking good and took his vitamins last night. He did. It was crazy because Gronk was pretty much a non-factor in just about every one of these playoff games. And then Gronk goes off in the biggest game of the season. But why are we surprised? This is what Gronk does. Anyway, see if we got any more comments in here that need to be read. Cody Larson says, I want to see the city of Tampa host another Super Bowl. The atmosphere was just amazing. Just wish the game was better. You know, and it would have been also awesome if it wasn't. I know Florida's a different country. You know, it's not a part of the U.S. Neither is Texas. They both march to the beat of their own drum. So it's not really like coronavirus exists in those countries anyway. So they probably were out partying and doing the same shit that they normally do. Not like corona was actually in existence and people are dying or anything like that. But it was funny. It was a tweet that someone had that said, that's the most masks during the weekend's halftime show. It's the most masks I've seen worn in Florida in like a year and a half. Funny. Really, really funny. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, I digress. I am done. Thank you guys for joining me on the Louie T Network podcast. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys later on in the week. Washington fans, I should still be live on Wednesday night, I believe. We're going to move it from Thursday to Wednesday this week because I will be out of town. But we'll see. Hopefully, I'll be live Wednesday night, and I'll let you guys know what's going to happen. A lot of content coming out this week. Hopefully, we get the draft process started this week. If not, definitely next week. It's one or the other. Got a busy schedule, so we'll see if we can cram everything in before I get out of Dodge. That said, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, if you haven't already done this one final time, please hit the subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. Over 100 of you, only 68 likes. Can we at least get it to 70? Can we try to get it to 80? All right, push this thing to 90, potentially 100. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so on your way out. Anyway, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. If it's not your man, T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off, saying adios, amigos.
Louie.